Welcome back to Rules of Engagement, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little promo video from Full Sail University. They're a great university, our actually official education partner. They have a lot of great programs relating to game design, audio engineering, video production, animation, all the components that come into creating a video game. Things like Starcraft 2, League of Legends, Call of Duty, the games you enjoy watching. If you're looking for a career and you're interested in trying to pursue the next generation of video games, be a part of the magic that makes these games happen, go to www.fullsail.edu/MLG. There's a quick form. You just fill out your email address and some of your interests, and they'll give you some more information about a lot of their great programs, both online and at their actual campus. Feel free to check it out. It's a great way to get involved in video game production, which is a booming industry right now. Everyone likes video games. But talking about our next segment, it's going to be Zerg versus Zerg about the new Ultralisk. So first we're going to look at how have Ultralisk changed in Heart of the Swarm? And then how have other Heart of the Swarm changes affected Ultralisk in Zerg vs. Zerg? And then we're going to take a look at how does Cats use Ultralisk, or mostly how he actually progresses to the Ultralisk in Zerg vs. Zerg. So let's jump into this replay. And the first thing we're going to talk about, we'll actually go through this, just keep it playing on Cats' viewpoint, following his camera, so you can see exactly how he's playing while we talk about a few things. So first, how have Ultralisk changed in Heart of the Swarm? So, in Heart of the Swarm, Ultralisk do 35 damage on each swipe. This is without upgrades, so they'll get better as you upgrade them. To all targets. Instead of in Wings of Liberty, they only dealt the full 35 damage to armored targets, and 15 to unarmored targets. So basically, before Ultralisk were weak against things like Zealots, against things like Archons, against things like Marines. Alright, you had to have Fungal to back them up against Marines. Zealots, Archons, you had to have some other unit to really, maybe Banings to break the Zealots, and then so you could get in on the Stalkers, the more units you want to attack. They were also weaker to other things. But basically, now they're strong against everything by their damage perspective. They kill everything fast. And especially in Zerg vs. Zerg, it makes them much stronger against Hydralisks and Infested Terrans, which is how it's relevant to Zerg vs. Zerg. So, the next thing we want to take a look at is how have other Heart of the Swarm changes affected Ultralisk in Zerg vs. Zerg, right? Because sometimes you can make a strategy stronger, not by strengthening that unit or something about that strategy, but instead by weakening or adjusting, maybe strengthening or weakening some other factors that end up affecting it. So, one thing to note is, in Wings of Liberty, one of the big weaknesses of Ultralisk is if your opponent had a ton of Infestors, they would throw Infested Terran eggs all around their Ultralisk, gum them all up, and then Infested Terrans would just kill them. But in Heart of the Swarm, Infested Terran eggs have less life, and Infested Terrans no longer gain upgrades. These are actually patches they just put into Wings of Liberty as well. But if you guys haven't played recently, these are big changes to make Ultralisk better in Zerg vs. Zerg. Is that the eggs are easier to kill, which is important, and without upgrades, once your Ultralisk gets a lot of armor, the Infested Terrans are no longer very effective against it without those upgrades, and now they no longer can get them. So, Ultralisk are basically a much stronger unit in general, and also in Zerg vs. Zerg they're much stronger. So, as we're watching Cats' play, we should notice one thing, and that's he always has Zerglings running everywhere, right? He's fast-teching to Ultralisk. We can see he's going to be banking a lot of money. But how he makes this safe is that he threatens counterattacks by having these Zerglings always roving around the map. He's got his little squad here, he's got another squad here, and if you've been watching the replay, you'll see he's had a squad running around here part of the time, running around here. Basically, continually threatening counterattacks, making sure that if Elvis ever left himself open, didn't have these Orcs back at home, Cats would come in and wipe him out. So he threatens the counterattacks, and he builds spine cores back at home. And this is a very cheap way to make a defense. We can tell he's lower in food. That's because he's saving money and teching so aggressively. Look, 2/2 upgrades, pathogen glands, and I'm pretty sure he's going to start Hive very shortly. And basically, this allows him to save up resources for Ultralisk because he's not investing in all the roaches. He's just getting ready to threaten counterattacks and build spine cores and use that to make himself safe. And he's going to do research Burrow. And Burrow does two things. One, it helps a lot with Infestors, and it also helps a lot with your counterattacks. So as we fast forward here, so far we've just been threatening counterattacks because Elvis has been defending, so it'd just be a suicide to end up attacking. But as soon as Elvis moves out of his base and tries to establish something, right now Elvis is being careful to make sure he can't be countered. But as soon as he leaves a counter route open, Cats will seize that and use that to buy time to get these Ultralists out. So Elvis is he's still hanging around his base. But as soon as he gets too far to the left side and Cats can tell it, Cats does two things. He sends one pack of Zerglings each direction. So whichever way the Elvis's army goes, there'll be one way that Zerglings can sneak by it. So as we see here, the Zerglings, they have burrow. And as he gets into the base, Elvis has to turn around or at least distract himself. Of course, another squad of Zerglings is coming in here as well. And actually, they might even kill that drone. Oh, they're not going to. But the great thing is that he can do some damage. And then when the roaches come back and get in his way, if there's just a few, he'll kill them, right? Just 3 roaches, he'll kill them. And then if it's more roaches, like right now, all of a sudden there's a bunch of roaches there, right? What he could do is he could use burrow. Now here he doesn't, but he could have. And then when he comes in here, this time he's going to say, okay, I'm going to burrow some guys because these roaches are here. And then split them up some other direction. And what burrow does is if the roaches ever forget, these Zerglings can pop back up and do more damage. And we can see these counterattacks are all buying him time to get these Ultralists out on the field. So as we continue through here, we can look at Katz's point of view. And he's going to see, as soon as the and now he sees the army, he's not going to fight it. He's going to try to circumvent it and do more damage with more counterattacks. So constantly doing counterattacks. And then back at home, he can easily defend his fungal growth units when they're on the ramp, and his spine cores will defend. Very cost-efficient defense, and it's allowing him, combined with the counters, it's making Elvis have to go up this ramp and attack, but the attack is doomed to fail because he can fungal growth units on the ramp. Now, Elvis is doing a good job about trying to split the units up so there's not massive fungals. Cats does also miss some fungals as well. And Elvis is going to get in here and do good damage. And Elvis's attack is timed perfectly to hit before the Ultralists all pop out. Because if there's Infestors and Ultralists combined, the Roach Hydras army will be annihilated. Because the new Ultralist change makes it was always effective versus Roaches. Now it's great against Hydralists as well. So his attack was perfectly timed. The Ultralists have no Infestor support. They're not annihilating the army to the extent they'd want to. But because of the counterattacks that Cats has done, he's eventually going to clean this attack up. The Ultralist splash damage is very big. Each swipe's taking out a couple of roaches. He's eventually going to clean this up. And because of the counterattacks that he's done, look at the drone count of Elvis. It's very low, right? It's at 15. Cats lost a lot of drones. Elvis only has 15. So because of the counters, Elvis is even more severely weakened than Cats is. And of course, he basically loses from here. I mean, the army sizes are Cats has a bigger army size, has a much better economy, and of course he's got better tech. He's got Infestors, Ultralists, and great upgrades as well. So this is going to end the game. I mean, Cats will finish this off in a minute or two later. And we didn't see that many Ultralists in Zerg versus Zerg. But this was still greatly affected by the fact that Ultralists are much better in Zerg vs. Zerg. You can't counter them with the mass Infestor, Hydralisk, Roach competitions as easily as you could in Wings of Liberty because of that extra damage it now do to Infested Terrans and the Hydralists. And so Elvis couldn't go to a late game. He had to launch a timing. And the timing was well timed, but the standard approach of dealing with timings by using counterattacks held true, and Cats was able to cripple Elvis enough so that even though he was damaged heavily, he still came out on top and won the game. So Ultras are much stronger in Zerg vs. Zerg, which puts a lot more pressure on your opponent if you're attacking to them. Thank you guys for watching this segment. We'll take a quick break and then go to some question and answer period. So stay tuned.